Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to cover a recent speech made by a 16-year-old that is apparently going viral. Now, I'm genuinely curious as to whether this is down to people agreeing or people finding this snowflake getting angry very amusing, but personally I think her speech reflects a very negative outlook on life, and when I'm coming on here to talk about someone else having a negative outlook, you know this shit's bad. Lauren Stocks made an emotive speech after shedding light on the state of British schools. She received a standing ovation after commenting on the mental health and well-being of students. While as someone suffering from depression and as someone who has spent quite a lot of time in schools, I really want to address the absolute bollocks that is her speech. So, let's see it, shall we?
So this year, I took my GCSEs.
Congratulations, you did the same thing as every other 16-year-old in this country. You must feel so proud.
I got my results in August, and I'd like to say something
That the Conservatives are to blame for your grades?
about an issue, which is the GCSEs, but they're not really being spoken about to a point where other people are listening, because kids like me at 16 and at my age don't feel like they have the opportunity to come to things like this and stand up and talk about what is going on in our classrooms.
So kids like you don't feel that they're being included by the Labour Party? That's funny, isn't it?
It's absolutely justified and reasonable that teachers should go up and stand for their employment rights.
Yeah, it is. Just don't go and say that you're standing up for the standard of children's education in the time where you're supposed to be educating the children.
To stand to not be ostracised by Ofsted, an organisation that has no idea what they are doing to our countries.
Now, I'm happy to say that Ofsted aren't fantastic, but are you seriously advocating a system in which teachers aren't assessed? Because that sounds like a brilliant way to get shit teachers.
But as a child this year, to have sat the first English and Maths GCSE reform where they changed lettered grades into numbers.
Holy crap, is Lauren going to go on to make a comment about the way that the Education Board carries on making the grading system more and more confusing only to ensure that they're still relevant?
I have seen, now, there's a statistic that we were shown when I was about 13 or 14 that told me that 3 in 10 people in every classroom suffer with a mental illness.
No, she isn't. Oh well. Mental health, let's hear all the issues about that then.
Now, I'm going to be a bit frank here, conference. That is bollocks, right?
I assume you've done research before going in front of a massive crowd of Labour supporters and calling a statistic bollocks, right? Sent surveys around the country, seen mental health records of people aged 11 to 16, a wide search across the country to find that the 3 in 10 statistic is, as you put it, bollocks.
It's a good half, if not more. I could have walked into any food tech, history, art, maths classroom.
Hold on, you could have. No, you actually could have walked into those classrooms and done some actual research before coming out to pull a Diane Abbott with the figures. You could have done a modicum of looking into it before you go up on stage and talk about it at an annual conference for one of the 2 largest political parties in the country. In the age of the internet, you could have run campaigns in order to have that figure reassessed, or even gotten in contact with schools yourself and had surveys completed to show those figures you're quoting are wrong. But no, you're talking about what the case could be if you walked into classrooms at your own school. You've done nothing to show that your view of what goes on at your school is actually what is happening nationwide. You're the proof that the education system is broken. You've done what I can only assume is no preparation before speaking at what is possibly one of the biggest political events you'll ever attend, and almost certainly the biggest event you'll ever speak at. You could have brought genuine figures to light, but you didn't. You came and made a guess as to what the situation was.
And just watch seas of spaced out, stressed out, depressed kids.
As previously stated, I suffer from depression and have done since before my GCSEs, which is why this retard's speech really gets me annoyed. Depression is a mental condition. Stress is a reaction. Stress is pressure that builds up with external influence, such as exams. Stress is normal. Depression is an internal problem. It can be affected by external influences, but it is not entirely dictated by them. It doesn't go away like stress does once a situation ends. Anyone saying that stress around exams is as problematic as depression is talking out of their arse. Lauren is 16 and it really shows. She evidently knows fuck all about depression, about stress, or both, because stress is not on the same level. Stress is a natural reaction to pressure, and it certainly is not a mental health problem if students are getting stressed at a stressful time. If you consider being stressed as a mental condition, close to 100% of the human race has a mental health condition, not half. Comparing stress to depression is like comparing one night's bad sleep to insomnia, like comparing pins and needles to an amputation. Stress is not a mental health condition.
In a battlefield where they can't afford pens and paper!
So kids in your school can't afford pens, but you can afford hair dye? Fuck off. This is what it's coming to, isn't it? For just £5 a week you can supply a school with pens. They're not expensive. You can get a pack of 50 for a £5. For the money you spent turning your hair blue, you could have given your entire class pens for the duration of the GCSE. For the cost of transport into this conference, you could have provided the class with pens for all of secondary school. So get your entitled arse back to school, because you're in desperate need of an education.
It is a disgusting sight, and we cannot sit on our hands any longer. Conference, I urge you, this is a call to arms.
Okay, listen up. You're a bunch of dirty misfits, but you're all that's left, so you'll have to do. So, everything is gone. Your stuff, my stuff, most importantly, my stuff.
But this is not my battle alone.
Which means if I don't see you out there, I'll kill you myself. Also, there will be a ton of loot! Yeah, right? That's what I thought.
Please, if you've got children or relatives that are of teenage age and are about to go into these newly reformed GCSEs, I tell you to make sure that they know that they are loved and that they have all of the respect and support that they deserve, because no government with a blue ribbon will ever give them that.
Make sure your children know they're loved, because a Conservative government won't. Sorry, I must have forgotten about all those times Tony Blair read children their bedtime stories about every time Gordon Brown came home early to play football with children. Mental health isn't fixed by having a Labour government in, you fuck up. It's rarely fixed at all. It, unfortunately, is part of who we are. We've seen how fast Corbyn goes back on his promises. Labour's not going to suddenly wave a magic wand and make it all better either. It's not a government's job to support individual students in the way you're describing. It's the job of a family, so anyone with children going into the new system don't suddenly have to parent better. They just have to be the same fucking parent. I could go into a long rant about how this is the new generation being entitled, about how idiots like this will continue to crop up with Corbyn leading the Labour Party, or how the rainbow-haired youth of today spell a terrifying view of the future. But to be honest, every second I think about this speech I can feel my will to live fucking off. So with that, I'll end the video. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.